Rek'Sai removed, Morgana taken away as well by Mega, Lissandra the ban from INTZ. Even though she was nerfed on 9-7, not so strong on 9-8, we haven't seen her played. She is still a power pick, and if you can get her in teamfights, if you can get her onto that backline, she can do a lot of work.
She just has great utility all around. And it's finally going to be a Jace ban, but this time by INTZ. And both Rocky and G4 have played that one.
But Galio first pick straight away. Put that over into Pop's pocket. His Galio play is pretty impactful, undefeated on it, but I mean, any pick that Mega have picked before they came here to MSI, they are undefeated on. Didn't lose a single game in their regular season.
I really appreciated that smirk at the Heimerdinger hover. I didn't think it was going to be the case. I would like to see the Jarvan locked in here just to deny the Cannonball composition, that Jarvan-Galio combo. Usually if you see one go up, you have to consider, do we deny giving away such a strong combo?
And it is the most played from Jun as well, so it would be a very comfortable pick for him. Jarvan Rise, 2 power picks across the course of MSI, locked in here for INTZ, and now Mega needs to decide where they're going. You're looking for a strong top laner, a strong jungler, maybe even going down towards AD carry.
Or they could just start to stack a lot of the flex picks and see what they get. Speaking of flex picks, so I kind of want to talk a bit more abstract about the different draft strategies between blue and red side.
Okay.
At least in the LEC and a bit globally, red side's usually about having strong flex picks, having counter pick matchup, because you actually want to make the most advantage of having last pick on both sides. Whereas blue side, it's more about trying to put together a holistic composition. Usually you have to find strong blind picks here because red side has the ability to counter you. So instead of prioritizing your 1v1 matchup, you prioritize your 5v5 team composition. That's 1-3-1, if that's 5v5, whatever it happens to be. And that's kind of like the trend that I want viewers to kind of pay attention to as they look how these teams are transferring sides and how their compositions change with that.
Well, we'll keep our eyes on it, and if you notice any egregious variations from the norm, Frosk, I'm sure you will make us aware of them as well. Kai'Sa and Hecarim locked in here by Mega. INTZ looking for their final pick. If your predictions are correct, it will be Flex. Kench doesn't flex that much though, Frosk.
No, but Ryze and Jarvan still flex.
That is true.
You just want to pick a really solid support here. Galio, Kai'Sa, again, have a lot of all-in potential at level 3, but if you have a Tahm Kench, you can say, no, no, no. And it's also one of Redbird's most played champions.
It definitely is. Let's have a look what we get into the second ban phase. Things like the Akali are still striking out to me. Silas being removed on this phase as well. There's still a lot of strength. Neither team's really force themselves, pigeonhole themselves into one strategy too much so far.
I think we should see Mega ban away the Ashe. It's usually what Mills plays in tandem. It came out a lot in playoffs. Oh, this is cool though. So if you actually just look at the playoffs run from Mills and Redbird, you think that he is only a utility player. He played a lot of Sivir, he played a lot of Ashe. You're like, well, I got this guy figured out. But if you actually dig deeper into him, look at him over the course of the split, his Draven is out of control. So again, just very impressed with the level of research that these teams have looked in on to give that type of respect. But there we go.
There's the Ashe ban as well, so you got them both spot on there. Frosk, we'll see where INTZ decide to go. You've still got the option here of, well, picking your AD carry makes the most sense because then you have a counter pick for last and you still have the flexibility in the rest of your draft.
You could also just pick a high valuable flex here. The Akali has slipped through this draft. It would tell me, like, if they grab Akali here, it tells me that they're comfortable flexing it. I still expect that this is a Ryze mid lane and a Jarvan jungle. But, you know, we don't really know the depth of INTZ's champion pools or how comfortable they feel in these individual matchups, especially given the information they have. Because that's still Hecarim, whatever.
Yeah, it could be any
top jungle,
could
support at this point.
Pretty sure we'll see the Galio in support, but you never know, Frosk. Kindred will be locked in here for Mega, giving them a little bit more respite in those team fights, and the Azir is the final pick for G4.
I really like Azir into a champion like Varus because he is a little bit of a lower mobility. So if Redbird isn't like on point with these Devours and helping maneuver him around, we often see, you know, the combo is Kench Ashe, Kench Varus. You try to make up for that champion's low mobility, then Azir can cause a lot of problems for him, as well as still a lot of difficulty walking up if G4 is placed out his sand soldiers correctly.
So this is really interesting. It's going to be the Gragas. Tay has played Jarvan top twice during the CBLOL spring split, so looks like that's where the Jarvan's going to go. I think it's the first time we've seen Jarvan top this tournament as well.
And one of the different kind of change-ups that INTZ took into the playoffs is, like, Tay plays a lot of bruisers, but he doesn't absorb, like he's not like a carry top lane. I would never look at Tay and be like, this is the next coming up the Shy, he's like Wonder 2.0. I'd say that he can play anything, he does his responsibility for his team, and he's not really like the shining star. But when they came into playoffs, they started to get him a lot more priority. When he had champions like the Renekton and the Jarvan, and it's just diversifying that style to say that it doesn't just have to be about Envy, it doesn't just have to be about, you know, the Draven in the bot lane for Mills, that we can be a triple threat or attempt to be one, and that we believe that Tay is stable enough to do it.
Well, it worked out for them a little bit in game one. His Renekton did have some sparks of life, some signs of strength, and we'll see how it works for INTZ this game. Looks to me like Mega have gone for a pretty traditional teamfight composition. You know, the Azir, the Kai'Sa so strong as they scale up. Kindred gives you a little bit more utility and a bit more damage, whereas INTZ, they've got a few different options. You know, you could 1-4 with the Rise as the game does develop. You could have Jarvan in the side lane as well, and you use that Tahm Kench to roam around.
What I do like is that they've kind of changed up agency and responsibility of who is actually going to engage the fights. There's still not an abundance of hard engage on the composition for Mega, but if they did want to run in, you know, giving a guy like Rocky the champion Hecarim as opposed to being really reliant on June on the Jarvan, I think is a good change up after June's performance in game number 1.
June will be piloting the Kindred in this game, seeing how far he can get. How many? We always talk about the stacks with Kindred. You want to be getting those marks as much as possible. 4 marks is your break point. We'll see how the early Scuttle Crab RNG favors him or favors INTZ. And it's always about kind of the cut and thrust of jungle. It's really what League is defined by at the moment in the early game, especially the first, 5 to 7 minutes, is how the junglers are playing and that cut and thrust and that vision control that you play around.
Yeah, and also, if you're going to just check a matchup in your 1v1, it feels like for a very long time globally, the teams like Invictus Gaming, Griffin to an extent, G2 and the LEC, it was just, we have all these flex picks, we sculpt out the proper 1v1s, and we can just abuse from here, and our jungler kind of bleeds off of it. This tournament has been much more reliant, I think, on the jungler impacting the lanes rather than the lanes opening up space for the jungler.
And that can, of course, just be a cautiousness thing. When you're playing at the higher level of competition, you don't always want to take those skill check matchups, those 1v1s. Mega are going to look for a little bit of a push forward here.
If this is a delayed invade, this is something INTZ do a lot in their games. Usually they have someone like a Braum, which is another famous Redbird champion, so I wouldn't expect them to do it with the likes of a Tahm Kench, very different level 1s. But what INTZ like to do is they like to delay level 1s or have some sort of level 1 planned to help springboard Shinny's pathing. And what he's going to do is he'll do the safest solo clear, or not safest, but like he'll keep himself healthy by starting Wolves as opposed to not getting a leash on his blue buff. And he does Wolves, Raptors, Red, and it gives him level 3, and then he looks for a gank, or he'll do Krugs back and immediately grab Predator.
Always want to look for that Scuttle Crab as well on a first rotation if you have the vision. They've got 2 wards in this river, making it very safe for him. So even though they weren't able to get the delayed invade, they still were able to set him up pretty safely in this early game.
And this is already what you want to see if you're an INTZ fan. It's, get early information for Shinny, figure out where the enemy jungler is starting, because you can tell that the bot lane didn't leash for him, or did not leash for him, and then just have Gragas do what he does. He actually changed up his pathing this time around.
He did. Jun won the RNG for the Scuttle Crab up towards the top side with the mark spawning on that. He'll be a 1 mark, 2.5 minutes into the game. It's always a big bonus for the Kindred. Mills and Redbird able to trade into Pop and Lloyd here down towards the bottom side. Varus known as a lane bully, known as having a very strong laning phase.
Yeah, if you don't get the Ashe, Varus is going to do very similar things. The cool thing about Varus is it feels like he can instantly turn on when he wants to have pushing priority over the wave by what abilities he's spamming out, whereas Ashe is a bit more just reliant on the volley.
We'll see how Mills and Redbird are able to use that push priority in the bottom lane. We do talk about push quite a lot, looking down the lanes. And this is in my viewpoint, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, Bosk. It feels like Rocky and G4 should have okay push early on. Envy should be able to kind of even out the push in the mid, whereas Mills and Redbird should have the bot lane being able to push it.
And I think that was the adaptation on the Shinny path with the Wolf Star. Instead of immediately walking over to his top side red jungle, he instead fully cleared his bot side jungle, because you are right, G4 had the Azir, they had the Hecarim, and just in case there's any sort of shenanigans, Kindred level 2 can be quite potent. He was like, I'll just get a full clear, and I'll just safely check in. If everything's here, that's great. I get a full clear for my jungle, and it's that much more gold to take home to get my Predator and start impacting these lanes.
Yeah, no point in risking meeting up in a full 3v3 up towards the top side if you think you're weaker. Now, Jun is down towards the bottom lane, and there's no wards here for INTZ. Mills and Redbird have backed off, knowing that their jungle is topside, knowing they're playing on the weaker side of the map because there's less of their team there. Hop there with the taunt. Redbuff trying to get away from it. Doesn't have cleanse, doesn't really have an escape route. Hop's the thick skin, but he's going to go down. It's first blood across towards Jun and Mega Strike first.
Also feels very nice that Jun is finally in this game and also has the kill to boot. So we always want to diversify your damage threats. Having a Kindred jungle, it's one of the nicest things about when you take Kindred there is you basically have 4 damage threats.
Gives you a lot of power early on. We'll see what he gets on his first back. Expect Skirmisher's Saber. We have seen a couple of variations. It's got Skirmisher's double longsword, not opting for boots. Instead, just going to use Kindred's natural mobility to get around the map.
And now he feels really confident with so many battle stats that he can really start contesting for these marks as they spawn on the map. So if you have Jun, who is going to look to snowball himself, contest for these marks, feels that he has, you know, the double longsword in his back pocket, whereas Shinyi, he's got the Predator, he's got the red buff, he is ready, he is hunting on this map. Who is it gonna be?
It's ganking time for Shinny on that Gragas. As you say, with the Predator early on, can just try and get those ganks off Jun with a nice little vault in towards that bush. Wasn't spotted, but now that with Control Ward here, they're going to try and fight over the Scuttle Crab. It was smited away by Shinny.
This is actually really important because it takes a lot of tempo out of Shinny because now he's got nothing to farm. You could tell that he was looking for the mid lane. He's like, I've got a Rise, he's got a Flash. We're going to mess G4 up because he doesn't have cleanse. Instead, he took the teleport in the matchup, but right on time. Mega placed down the ward in the Pixel Rush, and now Shinny has wasted so much time basically waiting for his camps to respawn.
Now, Jun has been a little bit unlucky on the last 2 spawns of that mark. One was at the Razor Beaks that INTZ took straight away. The second one has come on towards that Gromp, which Shinny will take away as well. So the marks do respawn. I think it's about 40 seconds later, so it's not too much of a deficit, but you want to be stacking those up as soon as possible. And Envy and Shinny can just team up here, get a little bit of vision control. We talked about it in pick and ban. You wanted to see a little bit more from Envy and from Tay, a little bit more pushing into the enemy jungle and getting those wards down.
I just think it's really important for INTZ that their solo laners are able to find space to unlock themselves from their lanes and place this deep vision because, again, they are very reliant on their pathing jungler to set up tempo for them in this game. But Mega have done a phenomenal job, you know, when they are playing for the possibility to being ganked. We call that weak side, strong side. We talked about it a couple times over the course of this broadcast. They're always just aware, okay, I'm in danger right now. Instead, I'm going to take my back and I'm going to, you know, absorb or neutralize. And I'm just going to wait for Jun to be back into position, and then I'll push forward.
It's that little bit of extra awareness and those little, it's the split second of decision making and the split second of thinking that kind of separates this next level of tournament. It's the difference between, you know, the top of your domestic league and the top of play-ins, and then the top of MSI groups, and then, you know, the semi-finals and the finals. It's these minuscule decisions that can totally change a game's outlook.
I like to think of it of having the awareness to think, not only what do I want to do as a team, what do I want to do as a champion, but further than what does my opponent want to do. Because if you can predict what your opponent wants to do, then you have all of the information, you can set up those sick counterplays. And it feels like normally you see a lot of teams that are really just stuck on kind of phase 1 of like, what do I want to do? Don't consider how they can get outplayed.
And then the next level is, what does my opponent think that I want to do, and then alters their plan. It's too many layers. Just gotta go as deep as possible with the layers. It's Inception. INTZ getting some ward control down here towards the bottom side as Jun was looking for a repeat gank. Redbird didn't actually burn his flash last time. And Jun is on a ward. We'll pop the Oracle's lens, pushes forward. Shinny waiting around the corner here. The Chain of Crush is going to land on Jun straight away, but the Lounge Chestplate comes down as well. He's knocked out of it, flashes back in, but then gobbled up and spat out by Redbird. The INTZ support will take the kill.
And I have been waiting for the Gragas into the Kindred matchup for exactly that. Thank you, Shinyi, for demonstrating how that works. Just pops her right off the Lamb's Respite. She's forced to burn the flash, but it didn't matter, dead anyway.
Redbird's just like, oh no you don't. You're not allowed back in there. Spits her out outside of her own ultimate.
And how both these compositions will work with the Lamb's Respite, if that's going to be a target that we're fighting over, and maybe one of these crucial team fights upcoming. You know, you have someone like Azir who can just poop and scoop, sweep everyone off with the Lamb's Respite, or you got someone like Shinyi who can just pop them off.
Yeah, so it's going to be a battle over zone control. Redbird has to flash away here as the taunt was coming out now. The rest of Mega here, Jun respawn coming across for the Mountain Drake. It's going to be a smite fight, but G4 just scooping away Shinny. The smite comes out from Jun. He's going to try and dance an arrows across the wall, but there's the Realm Warp. Shinny goes in, gets the kill, takes the Realm Warp forward as well. And they will get their second kill of the game. Rocky coming in from the top side, looking for a good position for the Unstoppable Onslaught, just trying to get onto Mills, but he doesn't quite connect. The Boom Prism will lock him in place. There's the taunt, lands on all three members of INTZ, but Pop goes Pop. He's demolished by the Brazilian powerhouse. Abyssal Voyage now chasing onto G4. Redbird's gonna get shuffled back. He's all on his lonesome. That's not where you wanna be. He unloaded the Toad into the mid lane and he suffered the consequences. G4 gets his first kill of the game.
That's an oopsie poopsie right there. Didn't mean that one. That said, they lost the Mountain Dragon, which I think is a big takeaway. The fact that Jun was able to secure that smite, but did win the team fight. So if that was a fight where, okay, this is just over the mountain, I'm gonna say that Brazil lost it. But because they did get the kills, and more importantly, they got them on key members, the fact that Envy picking up some gold there, I think will make it worth in the end, as long as an early Baron on mountain doesn't bite them in the ass.
Yeah, and against a Kai'Sa and an Azir, those Barons can go down very, very quickly. Jun with a good smite here. G4 does a great job of zoning out Shinny.
Absolutely right there. And then it's kind of like a split decision of, are we fighting, are we getting out? And one of the criticisms of Mega is that there are times where it looks like you can see a language barrier or some communication issues in the team. Pop deciding to go forward, gets a really nice triple man stun. Wait, was that a quadra? Did you also tag Mills there?
Just the three.
Just the three. But unfortunately, there's no follow-up. He just dies.
I'm not sure what Redbird was doing here. Honestly, if there's someone else in there with you, maybe you could do something. Maybe got a little bit over-eager. And he gives away a red buff as well, which is actually a lot more impactful on Azir than other mid lane mages.
I'm gonna say he just got a little bit too hyped.
A little bit hyphy.
He was ready.
He's feeling himself, but wasn't able to capitalize on it at all. Having a quick look at the states of the game. 10 minutes in, it's about 500 gold in favor of INTZ. They are a kill up. Gold across the board looks pretty even. It's 100 gold here, 100 gold here. Bit of a lead in the top lane for Tay, because he actually stayed top and took plates while that whole mountain harangue was happening. About 600 gold lead.
Party.
Party, yeah. Party is what I was going for. Where would you be looking now, Fosk? If you're thinking like next steps, if you're in the mind of Mega. So we'll do it step by step, right? You're Mega. What does your team want to do?
I mean, ideally, you just want to get your core items on your Azir and your Kai'Sa. You need to unlock the access to her abilities. So I feel like
2 items?
Farm on Kindred. You just kind of want to farm. If you see a free gank, take the free gank, but you're looking for bigger power spikes. If you're just going to have waves forced into you, you'll take the free waves.
So then, what do Mega think INTZ wants to do?
Probably look for ganks. You're going to constantly be seeing Tay and Shinny on this Gragas hunting around, and Mega have responded in kind by controlling neutral vision of the river and trying to catch them out on every corner and just absorb time and absorb pressure.
So Mega taking that next step, understanding what they want to do, but also understanding they need the vision control. But Rocky caught up here. Unstoppable Onslaught comes out, the Predator pop from Shinny, looking for the body pop, will knock him back. Explosive cast to the face, that's a kill. And Shinny coming up big in this second game of the day for him.
Very well played, finding the window there from Tay and Shinny. Do want to point out though, I'm sure we'll see it in the replay, it looked like Rocky took a small pivot step, like he was trying to dodge the cast, so wasn't able to execute on it, but was looking for that outplay.
It's always really hard to do as well. That cast has such a big range, and you can place it between the turret and where you are. And it's like, well, if I dodge back, I'm going to get killed by them anyway. It's going to be very hard for me to get away. INTZ will take their third plate in that top lane. It means Tay is in a very strong position, about 20 farm up as well. And once again, do want to just give a little bit of credit to Zinni here. You know, first game, he really struggled early on. Here, he's 2-0-2 on this Gragas and having great effect.
I just want to see how close this sidestep was for Rocky, because it looked like he was almost going to get out of it. Yeah, right on the edge.
Yeah, but it still takes him down. Zinni knew what he was perfectly placed with that explosive cut.
And I want to talk about the fact that Tay has been giving so much gold from these plates and this time up in this tower, this lane. The fact that he has now access to the Tiamat, so he can contest with the Hecarim wave clear. And again, it's so important. The wards just now expired, but Tay is constantly shoving the lane forward and then dropping aggressive vision. And this is exactly the pocket that INTZ like to play in. When they're locked into their lanes, when Envy and Tay can't place this vision, Shinny just looks like a completely different jungler.
You can see Pop actually coming up towards this top side as well, leaving Lloyd by himself down in that bottom lane. Redbird joins as well. It's 4 players on the top side of the map. Envy's going to teleport in here.
Might as well. He was going to either go back to the mid lane or go back to the fight.
Just trying to fight over scuttle control at the moment. Tay can jump out of the back of this with his Demacian standard Dragon Strike combo. And at the moment, no Rift Herald has been started by either team. Oh, great Justice Punch there from Pop lands. The taunt as well. Redbird will gobble up the Gragas, spit him out. And for the moment, Shinji is safe.
I am really ready for 9.9.
Yeah, Tahm Kench is, if you play him well, you can look really good, but mostly it's at the expense of your opponents. It's a little bit slow sometimes. But that's okay. Because he gives us rotations. And we love rotations.
Hide my disdain for Kench and what he does for this game. Obviously, just completely disengaging that fight. I was very excited. We're gonna fight over Rift Herald. Instead, we're ganking top lane.
Well, Tay
top again.
Yeah, Tay's just ganking this. Sorry, Jinny's ganking this. Credit's coming out. Jinny could just look
fast.
at the fight. Yeah, he's got the flash. Doesn't even need the explosive cask. It's too easy for Jinny. Faked him out.
Oh, he was like, he's gonna throw it. So Rocky's like swerving all over the lane. Shinny's like, nah, man, I don't even need it.
The thing is, Rocky doesn't have flash. Like, he's playing Hecarim. He's running Ignite Teleport. There's no way you get away from a flash body slam dragon.
It looks like he was playing Mario Kart up there. He's like looking for the green shell popping at him.
Mega gonna try and respond to Shinny's top lane pressure by going down towards this bottom side, but Tay's gonna take the first tower of the game. All 5 plates going over to him as well. He's sitting at 6,300 gold, almost 2,000 ahead of Rocky.
And that's the trade that they're making for this Cloud Dragon, which I'm gonna be heavy in favor there. I think having a really fed Jarvan, especially when you have someone like an Azir or a Kai'Sa. So if your Jarvan ever gets ahead, and he just is able to land onto the backline and, you know, either half health someone or take a very sizable chunk out of one of your very squishy carries, I think that means so much. We see this in the LPL actually a lot, and so they actually love to play carry-oriented Jarvan, and you can see that. He's got the bloodlust. He's like, give me the Black Cleaver, I am ready to go.
He's got another longsword sitting in his inventory as well. Expecting to see more damage out of that Jarvan as the game does progress. Just as a reminder, everyone, although this is the last Group B game of the day, the Group A tiebreaker game between Hongwu, Buffalo, and Fenerbahce would take place after this game. The winner of that faces up against Team Liquid this weekend. And both those teams have shown signs of brilliance and signs of a little bit of fiesta. So I'm very much looking forward to that match.
I think it's about who's going to show up in that final match, that side selection, also determined by game time.
It is, I believe Hongwu Buffalo gets side selection for the game. INTZ going to get their second tower of the game down towards this bottom side. No real response coming out from Mega. They've instead moved their jungle, their AD carry and their support up towards the top side. Tay can deal with them for a little bit, but I don't think it'll be too long. Rift Herald has been popped up here by Jun, and Tay will just retreat. He realized he can't really do much in a 1v4.
Looks like it's a trade for trade. I think that there was a little bit of shenanigans happening in the mid lane where Shinji and Envy were trying to catch if Azir was going to walk up to his team by placing a trap, but now seeing that G4 is not going to fall from that trap, it looks like Shinji is going to kite back towards his top laner and make sure that he can clear that okay.
Actually seen Rocky having to delay some of his build here. He's gone Phage into the Glacial Shroud. And
into the Sapphire Crystal.
So I think he's going to finish Trinity Force now with the Sheen next, but just all over the place in terms of itemization.
It really hasn't felt very good, but Rocky's been under a lot of attention there from the jungler.
It's very difficult for him to play into that Jarvan Gragas combo. Chain of Corruption onto Jun. He'll pop their lands just by teleport coming in behind them. There's a hero's entrance as well. And INTZ to try to fight this on 3 different fronts. Tay there on the front line. EQ misses. Cataclysm blasts away from Jun. Lloyd jumps across the wall with his ultimate. Tay so low. The heal coming out from Jun as well. And Tay is down. Mega somehow find a fight. And pop goes the Varus as well. Mills falls. INTZ, they force the fight, but Mega come out on top.
They just overreach right there. I thought it was going to be another situation where INTZ had the patience that they were going to execute on the 5v5, but misplaced Tay way too deep right there, and Mega pick up the kills, and fortunately for them, also then rotate to the mid lane to clear out all those creeps.
Yeah, it definitely helps them. That means that Mega can't immediately push up with that man advantage, but we'll have another look at this because as soon as the teleport comes in, you feel that this fight is all in favor of INTZ.
Yeah, because you're thinking that the dead Jarvan is now in the back line and he's just going to land on someone. I actually really love Redbird's flash repositioning there to get Mills because he's got the Jarvan in front of him. Hold up.
Shinny's just diving towards it. Lloyd with a good flash away. He's still got connected there from the body slam, but he will survive.
But I want to talk about the main takeaways from the fight, and it's the fact that neither of the AD carries have access to their summoner spells. And the next team fight could be something that decides the Baron if it's a complete wash one way or the other. And without having Flash on your ADC, it just makes it that much more volatile.
Okay, so Frosk, I'm gonna give you a hypothetical here, and it's purely a hypothetical. If these teams were to match up in a 5v5 right now, right here, with this itemization, who are we looking at? Who should win that match?
I actually think it 100% comes down into execution, because I feel like both teams have options depending on who is hitting who.
So what's the execution difference? What are you looking for as these two teams?
Don't stand in Azir.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Rocky needs to somehow, neutralize the difference between his gold and Jarvan. Because right now, Hecarim's the big guy who's really far behind.
So if we can kite out Tay and G4 can get his soldiers in the right place, Mega could win. But otherwise, INTZ should be taking the victory.
Unfortunately, I just don't think that we're going to be... Like, there's a possibility that a volatile fight could happen, and if it does, it's really scary. But it feels like there's almost a gentleman's agreement that says, hey, Kai'Sa, you're almost to 2 items. Hey, Varus, you're almost to 2 items. We don't have Flash.
You set me up for this hope of a fight.
Let's just shake hands, farm this one out.
Wait until they get that second item. It's going to be Ginsu's on either side, you have to feel. Mill's actually getting a fairy charm there for the extra little bit of mana regeneration. We do see that really commonly on AD carries. He won't be completing that into any major items. You would not assume. Almost Morello Nomicon on G4. That's a big spike as well. Seraph's completed almost Morello Nomicon and Envy. So there's gentlemen's agreements across the board for these second items. I do not think Rocky will be at that Triforce point when we get towards the next fight, though, unless Mega are able to delay the game quite a long time.
Rocky is just sitting in the variety bucket right now of items. He just needs to piece something together. But he's spending so much of his time responding to the pressure that Mega is receiving in that mid lane. And he's unsafe to just power farm a lane. This is really hurting Hecarim. I think he finally got it, though.
There's also no vision for Mega down towards that bottom side jungle. So actually, they're putting all their vision up towards the top side. It makes it really difficult for Rocky to do anything in this bottom lane. Because Tay could be there, Shinny could be there, anyone could be in that jungle. And it makes it so hard for Rocky to ever extend because he hasn't got Flash. He has to use that ultimate to try and get out of fight.
Well, he now has good information that they just took the Cloud Dragon, so you can see him kind of skirting his way back up through that jungle, clearing out some vision, placing his own wards.
For the moment, that gentleman's agreement remains. Morello Nomicon has been finished on G4. Lloyd is sitting on 1,000 gold, so he's almost at the Ginsu's. Mills is sitting about 500 gold behind. There's still that 1,400 gold difference between the top laners, but it does mean less and less as the game progresses. Eventually, Hecarim can just ult through a team fight and totally disrupt any of INTZ's plans.
Likewise, it also means that both teams just want to play really respectful right now. Lloyd in particular, he knows that Shinny has his number. And he's just trying to hide, but he's been found.
Be respectful when June gets caught out like that. The explosive cast comes out, but the Dam's Respite will keep him alive for the moment. G4 up towards the top side of the fight, has yet to join. The Cataclysm comes out as well. Pop goes into the stopwatch. G4 can put the soldiers down, but Tay is the one to take the kill. INTZ, get one, get out. And with it, they broke the gentleman's agreement.
But the jungler is still alive. Now, June has reset his position, but I like this call from INTZ. Don't force the Baron. Instead, threaten from the side with the Gragas and try to get some pressure on this tower.
Gragas still has the flash. Rocky chunked out. Envy just chucking bullets there straight into the face of the horse, and the Hecarim has to gallop away.
They're being really patient. Rocky can reset, and he has TP and look for a flank because everyone is now full health again.
Here goes Ginny, flashes into G4, and G4 cannot answer in time. Couldn't put down the soldiers for protection. INTZ get mid-tower, get 2 kills out of the prolonged trade, and with it, a 4,000 gold lead.
And any hope of a flanking play from an overextended INTZ just completely fizzles out when they find that target underneath the tower. We're going to take another look at how all of this started. And this is INTZ just, we're on the hunt, we're going to move in, we're going to force for this vision. If we find anyone, we're going to mess them up.
Yep, and that's exactly what they do. The explosive cast almost knocks both Pop and June out of it, and they both would have died straight away if that had happened, but wasn't quite able to. Eventually Pop goes down, and then it's just vision control, as you say, from INTZ. They get the wards in the side, and they stop any awareness from Mega. Mega, although they're scaling, they can't give up too many advantages like that, because otherwise INTZ will be able to steamroll over them.
It still feels like a very back and forth game, though. I still think that neither team is out of this one yet, but it should be now about the Baron. Both the flashes have come back up from these ADCs, so the incoming team fight not as volatile as it once was. You have to think if Lloyd was caught out there, if June was caught out there, that would have been disaster for Mega.
What I actually really like about this game as well is both teams are showing us a lot more than they showed in their respective game ones. You know, INTZ look a lot less nervous. Shinny's had a much stronger early game. Mega are still making plays and finding proactive things to do, even though they are behind. And it just feels a lot more like this is the sort of team, these are the sort of levels I expected to see out of Group B, not the performances that they demonstrated in their first game. Now, INTZ going to turn towards that Nasher. They don't have any Mountain Drakes to back up their Shred, but they do have a Varus and a Ryze who can get through those neutral objectives pretty quickly.
They're looking for the pick. Good spot out there. I do agree with you that I feel like INTZ is playing more towards their form. I'm still a little bit disappointed in June, but super happy that G4 and Lloyd are on such hard carry champions like the Azir and the Kaisa, because these guys can be the X factor for Mega.
Now, Pop was the only one caught there with the Chain of Corruption. You can see Mill's health bar go down to about half HP. That was a single soldier coming out from G4. He's sitting at 2 items with the Morello and the Nash's Tooth complete. You cannot let those Sand Soldiers divide your team, because otherwise you're going to get shredded by Azir's Shurima bodyguards.
Also need to pay attention to this Baron, because Azir can take that one down very quickly with that mountain. He's standing on a ward.
Doesn't know. Flash, taunt, Shinny caught out, hasn't got a way to get away. There's no flash on that Gragas, and there's no hope for him. A great catch there from Mega. The ward just about to expire as well. Redemption comes out. Mega are going for it. They're going to force it. They go straight towards the Baron, they'll shred through it. They've got the Mountain Drake, they've got the Kaisa and the Azir and the Kindred. 6,000 HP left on the Baron as INTZ go in. Tay with the Cataclysm trying to do what he can, but the unstoppable onslaught. The slide in! G4 sweeps away Mills. Hero's entrance on the back line as Tay is caught out as well. Redbird the only one to survive. Tay trying to do what he can, but he has to flash away. And the Baron is still there. Tay could go in, but the Baron will fall in favor of Mega. They will get the ace, and they find the perfect team fight against INTZ.
And suddenly Mega just turn it on, a huge gold swing back into their favor. They now have the gold lead and they now have the creep wave on this tower. It's only going to snowball from here.
What a ward. We say that Vision saves lives, well, Vision can take lives as well.
And INTZ struggled to clear out Vision behind them. They are poor at denying Vision. They are great at placing aggressive Vision, and it was a single ward that caught out Shinny, but the ensuing fight that sealed the deal here.
Look at G4 here. So Rocky dives onto the backline and G4 shuffles in Mills. He's immediately dead. There's no follow-up from the rest of the team, and Tay can do everything he can in the back of the pit, but you cannot deal with 5 members of Mega.
And this is what you want from Mega. It's not June, but G4 and Lloyd, in we trust. They're staples, and they did their job. G4, especially on this Azir, now 5-1-2.
And G4 and Lloyd have been playing competitively since 2013 together.
They've
been through it all. They've been, you know, Bangkok Titans, Ascension. They've been to Worlds and back. They've been to MSI before. And they are ready to take on the world, showing us just after you said hadn't seen enough from Mega, they show us exactly what they can do. INTZ licking their wounds a little bit, but still. 2 minutes left on the Baron. They are only 2,000 gold behind. If they can weather this storm, they still have good scaling. They've still got the Varus. They've still got the Ryze. They still have strength.
Yeah, and it's about how much they can stop the bleeding right here. Envy taking the time that he hard pushes top lane, so he's trying to force Mega to consider retreating and resetting the map. But if they die here, obviously it will just be the game over. So this is INTZ like, survive, don't die on this tower, but try to slow them down. If we can deny them taking an inhib, that's obviously the best case scenario. But misplay this scenario, miswalk this tightrope, and the game is over.
Triple cannon wave there was cleared out. The spell flux from Envy doing a lot of work. G4 has now hit level 16 as well. He's got that Banshee's Veil underneath his belt. He's in a very strong position. A 3-item Azir is nothing to be sniffed at. And even Rocky's starting to get back into the game. You know, Spirit Visage, Trinity Force, going towards the Righteous Warrior next, you have to think. He's even on CS with Tay now. Very much worked his way back into the matchup, and with a minute left on the Baron power play, Rocky can be in a side lane just pushing him.
I also think it's so important to have access to that Spirit Visage, not only that you're absorbing so much magic damage from that composition, but it just helps, you know, it's the buy one, get one free for Hecarim there. With his W, with the Spirit Visage, he's absorbing a lot of magic damage, and he's keeping himself topped up.
Definitely, as we see. If INTZ can weather the next 30 seconds of this. No inhibitor line has been broken as of yet, and although, you know, it'll be a big...
That is a...
Tay down towards the bottom of this. Not much comes out. There's explosive cast as well, but already the Emperor's Divide has been used. Tay has the flank position here.
and he's walking around.
And on wards, so they back off.
I thought he was gonna walk straight up river. I thought as soon as the Emperor's Divide was coming down, Tay's like, I'm feeling it, this is my moment.
I'll be honest, I thought exactly the same. Jun actually just about to pick up his 3rd stack of the game. Hasn't even been able to hit 4 stacks yet. Being put quite far behind, but doesn't really matter when the rest of your team is playing as well as it is. 9 kills to 7 up. Mega are about 2,000 gold in the lead. And with that last Baron power play, they get themselves right back in this game. 3 items now complete on towards Lloyd on that Kai'Sa. Stormrazor, Ginsu's Runans. He's going to be shredding people in team fights.
And it feels like you can feel the tension in this game. You know, for Tay to have a flanking position like that, he basically looked at his team. He's like, I know that we don't have ultimate advantage because they had used the Cask, the Varus ultimate. But can we go for this? And his team basically just took the more cautious play and said, no, no, no. We're going to wait until we have everything possible. We're not out of this group stage yet. But, you know, dropping 0-2 is almost a death sentence.
It's so dangerous for you if you get pushed behind her. And yeah, as you say, if you go 0-2, it's incredibly difficult to ever get back in a group here. You need to be winning basically the rest of your games, hoping for results to go in your favor. One of these teams will end up on that scoreline, will end the first day of Group B sitting at the bottom of the pack. The other will be tied in the middle with Detonation Focus Me. Oh, Lloyd, that's not where you want to be. They just gifted it to him. They wrapped it up with a pretty little bow, and still INTZ cannot time it right. They do get a lot out of it. The TP, Hero's Entrance, all used, but INTZ, that was your opportunity.
How do you get
it came with a gift card.
That free! Everyone in the crowd just held their breath there.
I mean, Santa's was in last game, so it makes sense that they have a present, but INTZ unable to unwrap it in time.
You hate to see it.
Yeah.
Lloyd probably just like his heart up into his chest as he's flying in the air. That's the moment when someone's cackling because they hit the blast cone.
That's so cute. Deary me. Well, Mega got away with one there. INTZ will be a little bit dismayed. They weren't able to actually find the kill on towards that AD carry. Tay's down towards the bottom lane. They did get the teleport out of Rocky, but G4 still has a TP of his own. All of Mega are grouped up towards this top side. INTZ still waiting out. Looks like Mills is going to go back and get his 3rd completed item on this Varus, so he is at a very strong power point now with that rapid fire cannon.
Look at the control wards, though, from INTZ. They've just stacked their inventories with them. They're like, we have got to get control over this Baron. It's spawning right now. We're moving everything in. We're clearing out all of this vision, and we are going to fight for this. We know that the game hinges on this second Baron.
There is so much vision for them to clean out, though. Like, if you look at it, you've got wards up here. Oh,
hold on. They're going to fight, Medic.
Looks like they're going to go for a fight. Here we go. Don't care about the vision because the fight has started. Alonso used, and immediately Slinny has to go into the stopwatch. Redbird eats up Envy, gets him away, but can the Rai survive? Rocky so low, he pops the stopwatch as well, and Tay jumps in, has the Cataclysm locked up 3, but the Lance fight just in time, and it keeps the entire team alive. Mega are unkillable. INTZ almost had a pick, but they couldn't quite find it, and Mega turns straight towards the Baron.
And everyone is super healthy. There is virtually no option for INTZ here right now. You can see that Envy just pieces out. He's like, I got the wolf camp, guys. This one's on me.
Second Baron of the game going over to Mega. They are 5,000 gold ahead. They find the exact moment to strike, and just as I was talking about vision, this is what MD do when INTZ have to face check into Fog of War.
And this is the thing, you can't go in and try to clear out the vision if you don't have the priority in your lanes. Look at top lane, look at mid lane. They didn't have it pushed forward. They weren't able to smoke Mega out of that top river. So they just walked into a trap waiting.
Oh, Mega, that was a very good call from them. You know as well, because INTZ haven't pushed out of their base in a while, they're not going to have any wards waiting for you there. There's not going to be a ward like Jinny stood on last time before the Baron. Jinny unable to do that much damage in the last fight. I mean, he literally got like half an auto off and then had to go straight into stopwatch. So I don't blame him too much for that. He was the face checker. But you can see, if Mills gets some time, if Tay gets some time, if Envy gets some time, they can do some damage.
27 damage.
Runic Echo's proc, maybe? I'm just thinking, what would it proc on? Because there's nothing there for it to proc on either, so... Does he have it? Yeah, he does. So yeah, must be something. And it doesn't matter. He only did 27 damage in the fight. Mega did a lot more than that. G4 well and truly online. Almost has his Rabadon's death cap complete. He is sitting on 600 gold, so that will be just a little bit of time away. looking at this push for inhibitors from Mega. They got rid of all these towers outside of the base of INTZ. And the Brazilian squad find themselves once again pushed back into their own base, trying to defend for their life.
This is probably the final opportunity that INTZ have. Mega feeling very fat and happy. They've got exactly what they want. They're basically just waiting on that doubled needlessly large to be completed to a death cap if he wants a fancy hat. G4 definitely doesn't need it to do so much damage right now. But Tate's got the flank.
He talks about vision. He's on a control with perfect flank position here. Envy coming across as well. INTZ, you got to pull the trigger. Rocky joins the fight. It's a 5v5. It's going to roll up. Redbuck already down to about 2/3 HP. He jumps in, only gets one. The Cataclysm locks him away. There's G4 with a streamer shuffle as well, pushing away INTZ. The Lamb's Respite comes out, but really Mega don't get too much out of it. INTZ didn't have to invest too much, and they get rid of the Azir ultimate and the Kindred ultimate.
Very patient call to just say, we're going to burn the ultimates, we're just going to disengage them from the inhib, but Mega, they regroup. They've got the minion wave behind them. They now have the teleport from G4. This is round 2.
No Rabadons yet on that Azir. Hasn't hit that full power. Look at Mills in this fight. It's all on him and Envy. They have to get the damage down. Inhibitors goes down and then Mega will retreat. Justice Punch away from Pop. Oh, it's on a knife edge. Mega holding most of the cards, but there's still a trump card in the back pocket of INTZ. They can still just find a fight. They can still have Tay jumping onto the back line. Cataclysm halfway back off cooldown. And Mega retreat for the moment. Elder Dragon up pretty soon as well. There's 4 dragons on Mega. That's another win condition for them.
And again, I still think that the cautious play alludes to the gravitas of the situation, that they want to stay competitive in this group. They want to just wipe away what happened in game number 1 for Mega and say, let's not try to force this. Let's do very high reward, low risk plays. Let's play it clean. Let's play it safe. We now have the mid inhib. Let's use this as a pivot point of pressure to gain control over Elder Drake and end this game when 100% we know we can.
Both teams taking a little bit of a breather as they reset. And talk about, like, it was only last year that we saw Southeast Asia being split from Vietnam, Vietnam becoming its own region, and Southeast Asia trying to rise up, trying to show that it deserved to be put amongst the names like Brazil. It was only a couple of years ago that INTZ last represented Brazil on the world stage, and since then they've been building themselves back out. But like, this was a team that was in relegation in CBLOL last split, and now they are fighting for what you feel is their tournament lives. As we said, if they go 0-2, it's a very difficult road to climb back from.
On the other side, though, there's a lot of questions about the vacuum in the GPL, the Southeast Asian region, not having the VCS splitting away from it. That it was curious what the development for Mega was going to look like. And frankly, their newer members coming in, their Korean imports in June and Pop, aren't the story of this game. This is the, the greatest hits of the Bangkok Titans and Ascension in G4 and Lloyd right now. Strong assist from Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky definitely having a good game as well after a weak early game, but INTZ, Rocky pushing in mid means that they're going to have to deal with that super minion wave pretty soon. Realm Warp, they're looking for the flank here. It's Tay getting onto the backline. They deliver the Jarvan in, but he can't really land the knockup. 3-man torn in from Pop. The ensemble also, but all of INTZ have actually got out of this one. Here comes the redemption. They can look for the return and burn if they want. G4 putting the soldiers on the front line, protecting the rest of his team. The inhibitor tower's down to half HP, but INTZ still pretty healthy, can defend here. Rocky looking for that flank, but he doesn't have flash, he doesn't have the ultimate. The wave play from ITZ is good.
Have expended so many cooldowns to do that. Virtually every single ultimate, save for the Abyssal Voyage. The Cataclysm is still available, but you don't have Jarvan ultimate, you don't have the Realm Warp.
But you do have to fight over the Elder, you think. Like, maybe if Mega mistimed this back, INTZ have the opportunity for a super sneaky Elder Dragon. If you go for it right now, INTZ are putting their backs in, G4 staying around, but there's 8 seconds on this Elder. You could just hard force.
I mean, I think your tournament hopes can live and die on this decision, on this moment.
They step up to the plate. INTZ willing to roll the dice, willing to have the gamble on the Elder Dragon. Mega are all here. Rocky on his way. Ensemble Onslaught is back up. Predator used from Shinny. Elder Dragon resets just a little bit, but it's still down to 6,000 HP. Mega now stepping forward, taking the 5v5, stepping up to the plate, taking the play, seeing if they can fight up against INTZ. Southeast Asia up against Brazil. in what could be a defining moment for both these teams. Tournaments live. The Elder Dragon down to 2,000 HP is sliding away, but the slide comes out. Can INTZ survive? They get the Elder, but they don't get anything else. They lose every single one of their lives apart from Redbird, and the Tahm Kench isn't going to be able to do too much against a rampaging Mega.
They were late to the Elder Dragon, but they won the ensuing team fight. They are now charging down the mid line. Surely this is going to be the nail in the coffin as Mega finally come alive for this tournament.
Mega found the proactive plays in the mid game. They found the Barons, they found the fights, and they find their first victory at MSI 2019.
Much different look from the Mega Squadron, or the Mega Squad that time around. G4 and Lloyd, I know, I'm just combining all the top teams.
The Mega Squadron TZ.
The veterans, Lloyd and G4. Pop had some really good multi-man taunts in a couple of those team fights, but it was more of kind of the slow and steady game, which if you see how quickly Vega Squadron are running, I don't know if it's going to be enough to grab that first place seed, but they're at least still alive to try for it.
Oh, definitely. I think that the weak thing for Mega is the fact they've already lost a game earlier today to Detonation Focus Me, who are looking like in that second place. They do match Detonation Focus Me in terms of record as we round out Group B for the day. Have a couple of days before we come back, but the fact that it actually felt for a lot of that game, especially in the first 20 minutes or so, INTZ were in the driver's seat.
I mean, but I think that makes sense for the nature of their composition. Yeah. I think it's really easy to look at games like that and be like, oh, you know, this should have been X team's game because they were so far ahead. And yes, INTZ did have multiple ways that they could have, you know, played that one better, not getting caught on that ward for one. But the nature of that comp is that was kind of their big moment to strike. Whereas G4, you know, the likes of the Azir and the Kai'Sa weren't going to come online later. So it was about, can Mega hold them till they're ready to fight? They did, and then they turned it around and ran it straight back.
Yeah, it was such a great fight from Mega, that comeback around the 24-minute mark or so. They did so much work in just catching out Shinny and then being able to take the fight afterwards. And
I'm just going to give the Oscar to Pop right there for faking out Shinny. He's like, oh, I'm going to...
baited and outsmarted.
Gonna go for this this Raptor camp.
But this is a dangerous call right here. Tay is massive at this point in the game. Envy is incredibly powerful as well, and Mills is still alive. You have to look at G4 and you have to look at Rocky and how they combine their ultimates here.
Yeah, and I think it feels good because they do have so many important ultimates to access. And like you're saying, that big stack, the fact that Rocky gets across multiple members and then it allows Azir to just swoop in, stand behind his wall and have so much confidence to just free hit into INTZ.
Incredible stuff all around, and this was the start of Mega slowly eking the life out of INTZ. They weren't able to get those wins. They weren't able to find the perfect team fights, and you can see like 4,000 gold, immediate swing with that Baron, with the towers they took out of it, and a lot of it was off the back of G4 on that Azir.
And G4 is actually our player of the game.
MasterCard POG.
25.5k. You can see it in his stats. You saw it in that play, and now you get to see it at the bottom of our screen.
Yeah, 13.0 KDA, and as you know, that's all I really care about. I'm a KDA man myself. It tells you the story of every player in every tournament.
And that's not even his Zed, that's just his Azir. I'm waiting for the Zed flex.
I cannot wait until he plays the Zed. We'll have to see because we do have a couple of days before the rest of Group B actually rounds out. Coming out of the first, 4 games of these 4 teams, what are you thinking? What is your general impression of Group B?
I think it's a much slower pace group. I think that there's a lot of interesting compositions and to be about like who decides to play standard League of Legends and if that's actually good enough. To force someone like Vega Squadron down. I'm still not sold on Detonation Focus Me. I need to see a little bit more tape of them, a little bit more diversity before I'm like all aboard the hype train. But right now, I still feel that the gut check was always going to be that it's Vega Squadron and then Mega, but Mega, there's a lot of holes that can be exploited here. I think the gap in between like the 3 teams, Mega, Detonation Focus Me, and INTZ is very minuscule.
Well, we'll have to wait and see in a couple of days when Group B does round out. But coming up next, it's time for the final battle of Group A as the hometown favourites Fengru, Buffalo, and Fenerbahce look to secure a spot in the knockout stage. The room puts him all lock him in place. There's the taunt, lands on all.